So, I know everyone in this room, maybe one or two that I haven't met in person. But I'm Samantha Rowland. I am your fearless BBC trainer. I'm also a certified nutrition coach. I'm also a certified personal fitness chef. So, done a lot. Food is really my passion. Training is my fun, right? But my journey has been a long one, and hopefully what I share with you today can kind of help escalate you into fast forwarding like 4 or 5 years of my journey into an hour presentation here to you, okay? So really quick, a lot of you may not know this about me. At 22, I stopped smoking because that was a cool thing to do when I was a teenager. And I attempted to run a mile, like this. Never, I was done. I was like, all right, my health is the most important to me. So I spent almost an entire summer learning to run a mile. Hardest thing in the world. You ever done that before? Maybe a mile came easy to you? Not me. Okay, so from there, I knew I never wanted to turn back. Never again. I wasn't turning back. My life was important. My health was important. And I just kept moving forward from there. So I'm a college student. And I'm surviving off of lean cuisines. I was vegetarian at the time, so veggie burgers, okay, lean cuisines. I was vegetarian, and I may have eaten 1 serving of vegetables a day. I'm so healthy. My lean cuisine was only 200 calories, right? And I was also starving all the time, right? So constant, used to it. I would eat this small, tiny breakfast, small, tiny lunch, this lean cuisine or whatever for dinner, and then come 8 o'clock, you better get the F out of my way, I'm eating the house, right? Because I'm starving. Like, give me all the food. And even though it was healthy food, it was still, there's no quality in the food, so I was never really satisfied. My body was always looking for something else, and in the end, I was going to eat the calories, whether or not I wanted to or not, in the form of some sort of binging, okay? So for like 6 years, I did that. And super sexy, right? I went from like lots of weight to not lots of weight. I've been probably 4 dress sizes different, but none of that changed. It was more of just like slowly transitioning into, oh, real black beans instead of protein, like these veggie burgers. What's the difference, right? And trying to learn these things on my own. Fast forward into probably the past 4-ish years where I went full-born, different, everything on my plate was raw, vegetarian, like everything was vegetables, okay? And it was like, maybe I would have some protein if I thought about it, right? Not great when you're trying to build muscle, but really good when you're trying to refill the void of micronutrients that you've been missing for like 6 years. So what's a micronutrient? It's things like minerals and vitamins and things you get only from plants, okay? So then I started kind of putting all the pieces together, and I realized I wasn't binge eating anymore. It was done. Like, I didn't have to eat the entire house every night at 8 o'clock. And I figured out that it's because what my body was craving wasn't the calories, it was the minerals and the vitamins and all these nutrients that I had just completely avoided. They were not on my radar. My radar was calories and macros, and that's it. That's stop. Thin line, done, okay? So when I finally decided to focus on everything, big picture, right? Calories are important because if you overeat calories, no matter what, you're going to gain weight, right? If you undereat calories too much, you're probably not getting enough micronutrients, right? So your carbs and fat and protein are important if you have certain goals. If you have goals to build muscle, you need protein, but you also need a lot of vitamins, okay? And then fat's important because we all want to have shiny hair and like good skin and things like that, right? So once I finally stopped looking at food as like, that's sweet, so that's a treat, that's a green, so it's good, right? And I just started looking at everything in more of a, what is this providing my body perspective? That's food quality to me. So the lean cuisine I was eating was fulfilling my macronutrients, right? Because I would kind of schedule all that in. And my calories, because I was on my fitness pal and I was eating 1,200 calories a day and I was rocking that, right? We've been there? Anyone? No? Yeah, thought so. Okay, recommended vitamins, right? And it's like, oh, if you just eat, this, and it's like 10% of your vitamin C, right? They fail to tell you that all those vitamins that are in that food were added there and they're all chemicals. They're not natural, okay? So when you are looking at, let's say, an orange carrot, right? Naturally, because of the ground it was sprouted in, and the way it's genetically formed, that carrot provides you beta carotene, right? And it's good for you, it's vitamin A eventually in your body, right? Versus a box of Cheerios, and they are fortified with vitamins, right? What does fortified mean? Added in a chemical process. What have I learned in the past 3 years? Our body absorbs like 3% of that. So if it's like, provides you 25% of your daily recommended, you can get about 3% of that, okay? Versus a bowl of carrots provides you 100% of your daily recommended. Guess what? You get 100% of that, okay? So that's why food quality to me is important. It is not about, yes, calories are important. Yes, getting your macros in that sense are important. But if you are letting General Mills or some other food company provide you the vitamin piece of that as well, you're probably doing yourself a disservice and your family a disservice, okay? So food quality to me, it means most of the time that I either prepared the food or I can very easily distinguish the food on my plate as, okay, that's a cucumber, do you know what I mean? Versus when you look at a Kashigo lean bar, do you know what's in that? What's the sweetener they put in there? How do they get it to stick together? Are they organic oats? Is there soy in there? What else is in? Do you see what I'm saying? But because of marketing, we grab that Kashigo lean bar like nobody's business, right? Anybody say no? Right? Okay, so is that food quality? I don't know. Turn it around and read the ingredients, right? How many of you stop in the grocery store and you're the crazy psycho lady like me, and I'm like, I got something else. It's different. I can't tell. The calories, right? That's all we look at. What are the calories? This one, I can eat 3 of them for 100. Give me number 1. And guess what? When I get home, I'm going to eat 3 of them for 100. No, probably not. Right? Really? Because they aren't providing us any nutrition. They're just empty calories a lot of the times, right? So anything that we have to see these fun buzzwords like gluten-free. I saw gluten-free like eggs or something the other day. I swear to you. I'm like, they just slap this on anything, right? They will slap on anything because it's a new trendy buzzword. Or natural. Or my favorite is putting organic on things and then putting a kid's picture, like something that will like, and you turn it over, it's got organic cane sugar, just regular sugar, organic corn syrup, which, yay, your corn syrup is from organic corn. It's still going to deplete your body of calcium and every other nutrient that you need and make you crave it more and more and more, okay? So when you see things like organic or non-GMO or things like that, are they important? You bet your butt. But you know what else is important? Doing yourself a service and turning it over and deciding for yourself if those ingredients are what you want in your body and in your family's body, okay? So my favorite thing to do a lot of times is to pick up like a Greek yogurt, super trendy, right? I'm gonna eat my Greek yogurt, y'all super cute. And my favorite brand are the ones that are fruit flavored. Notice I said flavored and not packed with fruit. And you read the ingredients. I actually did this at his sister's house in one of his nephew's go-gurts. And I read the ingredients and it's like, grade A, skim milk, blah, 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 da-da-da-da-da, and strawberry. And I looked at him and I said, Jackson, did you hear me read strawberry? He's like, no! And I was like, how do you think they make this taste like strawberries? He was like, I don't know. He was so appalled. And he was like, I don't know. Well, how, Sam? And I was like, chemicals. He was like, oh, God. But it's true, right? How many times have you turned over my favorite is Judy will know this, the 000, the zero Okios, right? If you buy the strawberry ones, there's no strawberry in there. And you guess what the red coloring is from? Roundup beetles. Do you know this about your food? If you don't, I just blew your mind, didn't I? But guess what? If you buy plain and you put raspberries in it, guess what color it turns? Judy, you know. Did you put any beetles in there? No. So it will do, it's amazing what you having to add less than like a second worth of a step changes, okay? So that's my goal with food quality. It is to stop letting people make things the most convenient and take it to the level that it's, so you're not going to make your own yogurt, right? Let's be honest. Right. But I can buy a yogurt and throw in stevia or monk fruit or some other sweetener and my own frozen like fruit, right? That I defrosted overnight in the fridge for like no money, right? And it will taste the same or better, probably better. And you actually know what's in it, right? So these are the changes that I hope that I can kind of give you when we think about food quality. So other things. What are some convenience items you use probably regularly to help you get dinner on the table? Does anybody use like spiced ones? Like I'm making tacos, so I'm just going to buy that cool orange taco seasoning. Anybody? Salsa, things like that. How many times do you turn it over and read what's in it? Anybody? Usually the first ingredient, you do Wild Tree now, but before that, did you?
I started making my own.
So you made your own. So a lot of times, the first ingredient is some sort of corn, which is probably GMO corn, and or, this is really sexy, soy, for no reason, just because it's a really cheap filler, right? A lot of salt. So we always hear, oh, it's got so much salt in it, it's bad for you. There's like 70 other things in there that make it worse for you than the salt they're adding, okay? Caramel color, does anybody know what that does? It's a huge hormone disruptor. Soy, huge hormone disruptor. You want to add like why you didn't hear your parents, your grandmothers and your moms talk about hot flashes as much as we do now at 45. They didn't have soy in everything. Literally. Like you turn over your super easy Cliff Bar that you love because it's been marketed to you as so healthy. Second ingredient, soy. Soy isolate, and it's not GMO. It's not non-GMO, and even if it is, most of the time they are not going out of their way to source it. Okay, so you want to make sure if you're going to have some sort of soy, you want to make sure the company goes out of their way to source that so that it's truly organic, it's truly non-GMO. They're not spraying it with pesticides because non-GMO soy, just a fun fact for you, if it's grown with the traditional seeds that we use now, those seeds have been cut, so GMO means they've done some kind of genetic modification to the seed, right? They have been cut in so that they can absorb Roundup and not die. What does that mean to you when you then eat that soy? Anybody know? Guess what Roundup does? How does Roundup kill a plant? Anybody know? It pulls the minerals and vitamins out of the plant so that the plant no longer has what it needs to live. It does not actually kill the plant. It devoids it of the minerals. Okay? So then when you can eat something that can absorb Roundup, guess what it does in your body? That multivitamin you took at 6 a.m., soy's taking it all back out. Or any kind of GMO plant that's been cut like that. It's taking it all back out and you're excreting it. So we wonder why so many of us are having problems getting pregnant, staying pregnant, fertility, having hot flashes at 42, not following the same patterns, why our girls are developing too early, why they're getting, periods too early. A lot of it has to do with the food quality, honestly. It is truly, you are eating food, ingesting food, whether you are aware of it or not, that is physically changing the cells in your body. Because you are probably not getting the micronutrients that you need. and your body has to make adaptations to continue to survive. And a lot of times those adaptations are things like constant headaches, constant pain, inflammation. So what happens when we eat something that leaches calcium, let's say, out of our bones? Or that is too acidic for our body, and it causes us to be, it'll actually it'll take the calcium not only out of the food you're eating, but out of your bones as well. So, perfect example, sugar. Who likes sugar? I love sugar. It's so good. It's so addicting. So Judy probably knows this, but this is one of the things that until this very year I could not put a connection to, right? How for Lent 1 year I gave up chocolate, which pretty much meant I gave up sugar because I'm not a big sugar eater other than chocolate. And after about 20 days, I no longer craved the chocolate. It was no longer something, for 20 days it was like, I couldn't go down that aisle at the grocery store, all I thought about was chocolate. And then after a while, the craving went away, and I didn't think about it anymore. And I always just thought that was willpower, and I was just really good at willpower after that long, and then it just wasn't. And then I had chocolate again. For Lent, what do? You eat whatever you said you were giving up. And it wasn't even good. It was like, why was I so addicted to this? But I bought a whole bar of chocolate, so I was eating a whole bar of chocolate, right? And the next day I wanted more chocolate, and then more, and then more, and then every day, right? I say this not to scare you, but sugar depletes our calcium. Guess what our body craves when we have depleted our calcium? Sugar. It's a really, really vicious cycle, okay? So you eat something with sugar in it, and I'm not saying don't eat sugar, but when everything you eat has sugar in it, whether you like it or not, what's in your kids' Apple Jacks? Well, I'm not saying it, in general, right? What's in your ketchup? What's in your organic fruit juice? Even if it's made from concentrate, a lot of times they have to add sugar back to that because it depletes the flavor so much when they concentrate things down that it's got organic sugar, some sort of sugar, right? So when we are constantly being barraged with all this sugar that we don't even notice is there. Oh, my favorite. What's in your taco seasoning that we talked about earlier? Sugar. Because sugar is really freaking cheap. So cheap, right? What's cheaper than sugar, Judy? Do you know? High fructose corn syrup. You're right, yes. So, when something is 70% cheaper to make, what are you going to choose? The cheapest kind, right? When you have a profit margin, right? So if you try to make your own, let's say granola, because that's always fun, right? It all burns, right? And you're like, I'm just going to buy XYZ granola. I wonder how they can make it so cheap, right? Do you ever think about that? How do they make this so cheap? A lot of times it's because of the quality of the ingredients that they're giving you and the fact that they can buy in bulk, and they're not worried about the quality in bulk, right? So they get all the source, high fructose corn syrup, these oats that they don't care really about if they're gluten-free or not, how they've been sourced, have they been are they sitting right next to wheat or flour or something like that? So anybody that has a gluten sensitivity, and you buy something and it's not certified gluten-free, a lot of times it's because of things like this, it sits just right next to something in a plant, and they just kind of scoop in, and if it gets in their book, then they don't care, right? Because they don't have to certify you anything. And then they make it, they fill it, whatever, and you can buy it for 59 cents. And then when you're at home, you're like, this cost me $8, right? You're trying to make it on your own because you don't have the high fructose corn syrup to add to it. You don't have that bulk grain cost, things like that. So they want it to be really easy for you, right, to continue to buy their food because it's really cheap. And it's really simple because granola takes a long time to make, right? And putting your own spices together in a taco seasoning takes more than opening a packet, right? And things like the organic, really awesome kinds cost like triple the price. And who would pay triple for the same thing, right? I was in that boat for a long time until I found out about what GMOs do, what pesticides do. Pesticides are huge hormone blockers as well, so if you've had hormone issues in the past, it might have been your food. Food quality is like so scary easy once you figure it out, but it's so scary if you're walking around uninformed, right? Why doesn't everybody talk about this? Why don't people preach this? Anybody know? Because there's a lot of money in big business, right? So it takes people like me having to read all these books and listen to 27 podcasts a week and spending 6 weeks on just my nutrition certification, literally studying for 4 hours a day, okay? It doesn't have to be like that, but that's how hard the information can be to get. Most of the studies that show that things like Coca-Cola or things like that aren't that bad for you. Guess who funds those? Coca-Cola, right? So you always have to consider the source. Sometimes it's not clear, but they always usually need to disclose who's funding big projects, right? One of the things I learned the past year, 95% of people who do the calorie restriction alone fail at their diet. Okay? So if you're trying to just be a calorie counting warrior, you're probably, unless you're one of the 5% awesomeness, you're probably not going to make it, right? Why is that? Because if you're calorie counting and not thinking about food quality as well, you are eating lean cuisine, special K bars, and drinking muscle milk, right? Because that's what's easy and convenient, and no one ever told us that wasn't the thing to do. That's why that stuff's there, right? Convenience foods have gone from, in the 70s, a pure convenience because it's the first year that mom and dad were both at work, to now, who the heck even knows how to cook on their own? Val, how hard is it to cook?
I'm struggling every day.
You're struggling every day.
I'm constantly watching, like, I don't know, I'm burning things off.
So, it's not easy, right? That's why we do these whole, I'm just going to pop a Stouffer's in, or I have 3 recipes that are tried and true, and 2 of them involve the spice macarons, right? Things like that. Or we went on somebody's website, we tried it, it didn't work, I must be a bad cook, I'm done, right? Anybody ever been there? I convinced myself I couldn't cook because I couldn't follow this one person's recipe or this other. The point is that when we focus on other things than the quality of our food, it becomes very hard to stay on track with things because most of the time we are deficient in minerals and vitamins, coming back to the beginning, okay? So how do you get around this? Judy, what's your favorite new way to eat pasta?
Oh, my zoodles.
Your zoodles. And what is that? Has anybody had zoodles before? Yeah, zucchini noodles, right? I make sweet potato noodles, carrot noodles, zucchini noodles, cucumber noodles, cauliflower rice, cauliflower, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, anybody have my mac and cheese before? My mac and cheese, yeah? Is it good? Yeah. So, I replace a lot of the fat and butter with just pureed cauliflower and add some broth, and then you put some cheese in, and you pour it over noodles, and it's super simple. Why do I do that? Am I trying to restrict calories for you? I'm trying to add the vitamins and minerals that your kids are probably turning their nose up at for you, to you, for you guys as well, right? Does anybody do green smoothies? Yeah? What's your favorite? What's your favorite ingredients in there?
For the green?
Spinach. Spinach. Kale. You do frozen kale or fresh? Fresh, frozen, depends. Has anybody ever thought a green smoothie would taste gross? Some of you, you're nodding your head. Is it gross? it gross?
You have to get over
Did you get your kids to eat one?
Yes.
Your non-vegetable eating, turn your nose up and everything, kids?
No, not that one yet.
You're not supposed to say that.
Hers has to be, you have to get the fruit in there.
Okay.
Not the green yet.
You put blueberries in? They don't know there's spinach in there. You gotta change the color. Protein powder in yours? Protein powder? Protein powder? Protein powder is the best thing ever. You ever had it before? Yeah, Apple-It's a good one. Some other good ones too. What does it do? So, green smoothie. So, a lot of us have heard green juices, right? I'm gonna go juice blends. Okay. I love the idea of a green juice because it's literally, and I'll tell you why, if you do it right. Green juice, like from Happy Apple Juicery, is kale, it's cilantro. Cilantro helps take out some of the really bad metals that we get from like our water and stuff. It's called a chelator, but it helps kind of flush all that stuff out. Celery, what does celery do? When you eat a celery stick, what does it do? It's like all water, right? So think of green juices as vegetables' way of like filtering out it's like vegetable filtered water, right? Where you get kind of all the vitamins, you get all the minerals, and it's their water, and you just add some lemon and some ginger, and maybe like half of a green apple, but not like bananas, right? Because then it's not really green juice, it's more like something really sweet. Not exactly the easiest thing to just kick back if you've been eating McDonald's and like drinking Diet Cokes all the time. But it's probably something you could tolerate. It's a lot better than like wheatgrass, I'll tell you that. Am I telling you to go eat green juice? Maybe. But the point is that it removes all the fiber, okay? And it literally is like a shot of vitamins and minerals. Okay, so that's a green juice. What's different between that and a green smoothie? The green smoothie, you get all the fiber, right? So instead of it just being the juices from all that, because honestly a green juice is usually like 2 or 3 celery sticks, like a whole bunch of kale, like more than you would physically eat in any one setting, right? Because you would be like so full. So it's all that vitamin, all those vitamins and minerals from all that in like this much, right? And you just quickly drink it and you're gone and you can move on with your day. So, I guess the point is that versus a green smoothie is probably like a half of a cup to a cup of like frozen spinach or fresh spinach with some milk, and you have to usually add liquid to a smoothie. Like you can't just press it out, it won't spin, right? So we have to add a liquid, and then if we want it to be filling enough to be a meal, what do I tell you girls every time you walk out of here? Water, protein, stretch, right? You don't hear me, you know how to walk out of here before hearing that, right? So I always tell, like I do a green smoothie almost every day with spinach or frozen kale, almond milk, coconut milk, whatever the thing you love is, it just has to be unsweetened, okay? So that 90 calorie coconut milk or almond milk, you gotta ditch it. It's got too much sugar in it, okay? Cow's milk, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but ditch it, okay? And it's not for the reasons you think. It's because dairy inevitably has so much sugar because it's called it's lactose. So fructose is the natural sugar that occurs in fruit, right? And then high fructose corn syrup is man-made, manufactured fructose because they like have to put the corn through a process to get the fructose out. So don't confuse those. Fructose from vegetables and plants are okay. High fructose, not okay. Okay, as far as the way it interacts with your body. So don't be scared of fruits and vegetables. They're not going to do the same hormone thing to you. But lactose is the same naturally occurring sugars, but in dairy, right? So if you turn over a thing of even skim milk, there's probably 14 to 16 grams of sugar in there. It's all naturally occurring sugar, but it's still sugar, okay? Versus almond milk. Do you know how they make almond milk? They blend up almonds, they squeeze it out, and then they add water to it. So that's how you make almond milk. You make it at home, get a little nut bag, and kind of squeeze it out. I don't do that. But you could. Some people in here do. You can cashew milk, anything you want, but no soy milk. You hear me? Put soy milk out of business. So my cup's a cup and a half of greens, usually about a half of a cup or a cup of liquid, depending on how big your blender is. Scoop of your favorite protein powder. I will talk about protein powder in a second as far as food quality, so let me get there. And then I add a nut butter, so almond butter, coconut butter. If you've never had coconut butter before, do yourself a favor and buy some. So have you guys ever seen my protein pancakes, my red velvet ones? Have you seen those? I literally put coconut butter on top. It tastes like, if you don't love coconut, you might still love this. You have to stir it. So like any other natural, you have to stir it because the oil will separate. That's how you know if it's natural or not. If you see something, just my tangent of the day, and it's nut butter and it doesn't have oil on top and it says no stir necessary, I want you to flip it over and read it, and you will notice that there's sugar in there. Okay, so even our $14.99 almond butter jars, you're going to flip it over and you're going to read the ingredients, right? Because food quality is important, and do we need all that extra sugar in our bodies? Does it taste different than that peanut butter that you've bought for the past 20 years? Probably. Will you get used to it? Will you think the stuff with sugar in it tastes bad after a while? Will you start giving it to your kids and telling them to get over it? Right? Sprinkle some cinnamon in there. If you need to figure out how to mask flavors for your kids, vanilla extract and cinnamon will work wonders. They will start learning. And even if you have to sprinkle some of your own, I know, Melissa, you love monk fruit. That's a natural sweetener from the Lohan plant. I use stevia a lot. I try to get it organic. If you don't know what that is, we'll go over that in a second. But as far as nut butters and stuff, if you need them to be sweet for your kids, sweeten them yourself with something that you know is safe. Even maple syrup or honey is a better alternative than the sugar they're adding, okay? So then I think to myself quickly, have I worked out yet today? I know this is a weird question when you have a green smoothie. If the answer is no, I usually don't add any fruit to mine. It's personal preference. I actually do better for my experimentation. I'm more of a fat, I do better on more fats than carbs person. So unless I just had a workout, I usually don't go right for the carbs. So I used to do a half of a frozen banana and some strawberries, and I didn't always add fat to my smoothies. I always do add chia seeds though. Add that if you're taking notes, a tablespoon of chia seeds. They're super awesome. If you haven't had chia seeds before, when you leave here, you drop to the store and you buy some chia seeds. And the reason being is because they are so full of fiber, they will help keep you full. Like if you are constantly hungry all the time, sprinkle chia seeds in everything, and you won't be hungry anymore. Val, can you contest how good is the chia pudding?
Oh my gosh, I love the chia.
And are you starving an hour later?
No, and sometimes I'll have it for lunch even.
Yeah.
Or a snack, and it is so good.
So I'll post a recipe for that for all you guys in BBC. So we have that, okay? But chia pudding is literally just chia seeds, protein powder, and milk, and you just let it sit, do its thing. So chia ends up expanding, and it can absorb about 4 times to 5 times its weight in water. So then when you eat it, it's like this huge, it goes from this tiny little seed to like this really thick seed that is like kind of gummy. So it's really good if you want to make your own like jam or jelly or things like that. It'll do that natural like jellying for you. And again, I'll share some tips and stuff with that just in our group after this. But I always add chia seeds to my green smoothies, okay? But when I was doing the banana and the strawberry and the green and the protein and the chia seeds, I found, for me personally, that I was hungry again in like 2-3 hours. Like, get out of my way, back to that hungry monster state, okay? And I just thought that was my body. And then I would go and get like a handful of nuts, or when I was working in corporate, I would go see my friend that had chocolates on her desk, because she is the best person in the world. Right, and the reason for that is because my body on carbs, especially like fruit carbs and things like that, I burn through them really fast. But fats tend to stay with me longer, okay? So I would say if you find yourself super hungry all the time and you're doing the half of a banana, half of, a cup of strawberries with the greens and all that stuff, and you find yourself like super starving maniac within a couple hours, but you're like, I know that was enough food, right? It might be that your body burns through those carbs so fast, you might want to see if you're more fat adapted, like I've found for myself. So most days, I don't have carbs unless I've worked out because I burn through them so fast, there's no point. Like, it's not giving me, where like friends of mine can be like, oh, I had like 4 strawberries and this, and I wasn't hungry, I had to remind myself to eat lunch. Like, we are all different. Like, don't think because what works for me is going to work for you, God, right? And it's definitely not always what's working for me and you may not work for Marlena, right? And what worked for Melissa, even a year from now, may not work for Melissa again because our bodies change. We adapt all the time, right? And so my goal for you is to teach you that no matter what, food quality is important, whether you are fat, whether you are carb head, either, whether you can do both, whether your body just thrives as long as it's real food, right? But if you're not looking at food quality, none of that matters because you're probably still going to be lacking in those key nutrients, right, that we all need to survive. It'll keep our hormones healthier. Hot flashes will be a lot less long-term and a lot less aggravated. Also things like when we can stop focusing so much on do I need X amount of carbs or protein, right? Once you figure out, oh, I'm more of a fat person, I know I need more fat, so I'm more of a carb person. Because a lot of you guys come to me and you're like, my carbs are so high, I don't know what to do. And the reason your carbs are so high is because you're freaking hungry all the time, right? True? Yeah, probably. You might be fat adapted and not know it, okay? So, if you need help on trying to figure that out, we are all here to help you. BBC is more of a fat program. It's more protein, of course. But we do focus a little bit more on fat than on carbs. So that means making sure the quality of the fat you're getting is doing what it needs to do for you, right? How many of you know that you're supposed to be cooking with olive oil or coconut oil or avocado oil and not with canola oil and vegetable oil, right? Now the question is, why? Because I told you so.
You say that, Judy? No, that was me.
How many things do we listen to and we just kind of take for our head and then it doesn't stick because we never heard the why? Soybean oil, when the foods are fried in it, or when you turn over your kids' food and it says may contain soybean oil or canola oil, do you care? No? Yes? Maybe you wish you knew why, but you do. Right? So, how many of you have ever picked up a canola bush? Or a vegetable oil bush? Or, the point being is that the way they extract oils out of vegetables, and so canola is some kind of plant, but the way they extract things out of that is that they have to, of course it's a manufacturing process. You can't go out and press the oil out of a vegetable. True? Right? Can you go out and press an olive and have olive oil come out? You press hard enough, right? Have you ever bought a jar of coconut anything and been able to press and see that the coconut, like even if you buy coconut flakes, it even then has that same little oil on it, right? Naturally occurring. True? Avocado oil. You know if you squeeze an avocado, which is a fruit by the way, it's got all that fat in it, right? You know it's there. So those types of oils, when you press them, pretty easily can tell that not much manufacturing had to go into that, right? Canola oil, vegetable oil, soybean oil. First of all, usually all GMO products. So usually vegetable oils like corn and soy, fun stuff. Usually all GMOs, so you have all that stuff coming in your body. And then, step number 2, it goes super rancid. Like, if you went near it before they bleached it, you would throw up the smell, okay? Because the chemical process that it has to go through literally makes the oil that they are able to press out of food go rancid. So then what do they get to do? They bleach it for you. So it has no odor, and it's so natural, and it's a neutral cooking oil, right? Because it has absolutely no smell or taste. True? Right? Because it's been bleached. Okay? And so it's still rancid. You just can't tell anymore. And then you eat it, and we all have heart disease, and we don't know why. Why? Because that rancid food is causing crazy inflammation in your body, that your body is literally fighting itself to continuously repair because the food you're putting into it, it cannot recognize it as food. So I look at food in 2 ways. There's real food, whole foods, things like that, and then there are food-like products. They look like real food, but then you turn over the ingredients and you realize that it's just a bunch of junk smushed together, right? Those are food-like products. They provide your body calories and probably macronutrients, but they are completely void of nutrition, okay? So, going kind of back to all that, that is why soybean oil, bad. Canola oil, bad. Vegetable oil, bad, okay? Did that resonate with you enough to care now? Right? If somebody would have told us this like 5 years ago, we'd all care, right? So that's my job for you guys. I want you to be informed. I want you, again, 4 years of me researching, 1 hour, right? So what are some things that you can do to add nutrition to the food you eat now? I already mentioned this before, chia seeds, right? So chia seeds, get them organic. They are packed with fiber. They're also really good. They have omega-3s in them. So why do we need omega-3s? Judy's texting, right? Ask her.
Trying to take all down.
Oh, you're writing it down. Judy, do you remember why we need omega-3s? No? Okay, so omega-6s, okay, so you know there's all sorts of fats, right? Have you ever heard of like unsaturated fats and saturated fats, okay? So saturated fats, actually our friend the coconut falls into the saturated fat group, okay? What we found is that man-made saturated fats are actually what is causing a lot of the inflammation in the body, but natural saturated fats from things like animals or coconuts don't cause as the same type of inflammation in our body, okay? They don't get processed the same way. I usually think of our body, the way it works, as you eat some food, let's say you eat an apple, okay? Apples have been around for a really long time, and they're full of pectin and fiber and a lot of vitamins and stuff, right? You eat it, and I always think of like this gatekeeper in my stomach, and it's like, okay, it has a little magnifying glass, what are you, right? And it's like, I'm an apple, and it's like, oh, I know what an apple is. Okay, go ahead, right? Versus, I'm a special K bar, right? And your stomach's like, well, what is that? And it's like, I don't really know what you are. You might be bad for me. So I'm going to as quickly as possible, funnel you into my fat stores. Why there? Because it doesn't want it circulating in your blood system if it doesn't know what it is. Okay? That just made a green light go, woo, for some of you, right? So real food, your body will let go through your body the way it needs to, right? So you will be able to pull out the vitamins and the minerals, and it'll get to do whatever it needs to do. Is the physical special K bar going to your fat cell? No. What's broken down from it, though, is, okay? Because your body cannot figure out what to do with the food because it doesn't realize what it is. So it literally puts it in your fat stores, okay? And then your fat stores are available for later on for is not a bad thing, but would you rather that 1,200 to 1,600 calories that you're allotted for the day, whatever it is based on your weight, wouldn't you rather your body be able to actually do everything with that food and get the most it needed to out of it, right? And maybe even stop having cravings for binge eating or chocolates or candy or your kids disgusting whatever you bought for them and now it suddenly looks so appealing and you realize why. Cool Ranch Doritos as mom. Anybody? No? Nobody's ever done that? I do that every time I go to his sister's house. I'm like, goodies! Give me all the whatever it is, right? But then I realized how bad that food makes me feel because I don't eat it all the time, right? Has anybody ever gone like a Whole30 cleanse or did paleo for a couple of months and then ate regular food again? And was like, God, my stomach, how did I do this before, right? Anybody? No? If you haven't, wait till April 4th. Right, Melissa? Yeah. We got this ready for you girls and gentlemen. But back to what I was saying. So you have different kinds of fats for your body, right? And omega-6s are in things like all that soy oil and all the processed foods that we eat. And am I saying you're going to be able to avoid all those oils that I just talked about all the time? No, probably not. Should you be more aware of them? Yes, that's my point, right? We can't avoid everything, but when you can make a conscious decision, when you actually do see something on a shelf and you can turn it over and figure out why one's better than the other, and you don't pay attention to just the calories, like, I just want you to be able to make an informed decision, and then you can say, all right, this is the best option, and here's why, right? That's my goal for you. So omega-6s cause inflammation in your body. They're the things that help your blood clot. They're the things, so they're still necessary, okay? You'll find omega-6s in things like sunflower seeds. They're not all bad, okay? They are what make your body, they're necessary for your body functions, okay? Omega-3s help reduce all that inflammation so your body can stay in like a pretty good homeostasis, okay? So you've got what you need to be able to let your blood clot, to let your blood pressure go up because it does need to be up at a certain level or you would not have a heartbeat, right? Things like that. But your omega-3s keep it from getting out of control. Check yourself, right? That's what the omega-3s do. If we don't eat omega-3s, which are found predominantly in fatty fishes, okay, but also in walnuts and chia seeds and hemp seeds and things like that, if you're not kind of regulating that omega-6, because omega-6 is like American diet, omega-6 is here and omega-3s are like down here, okay? So if you rely on processed foods, maybe you make your own foods at home, you might be more like this, but if you're not actively trying to get more omega-3s, they don't just magically show up, okay? Your body cannot create them, it's not available, you have to eat them, okay? It has to be ingested in food or a pill, so fish oil, for example, to be able to kind of even itself out. Right now, the normal American diet is like 24 to 1. 24 omega-6s to 1 omega-3. So again, if the omega-6s are inflammation, high blood pressure, you can see why we have all the problems we have eating the processed food that most, not saying everybody in this room, but most of America eats, right? And then, how many people eat fish once a week? Twice a week? 3 times a week? Every day? Right? So if we're not doing that, then we need to figure out other ways to get the omega-3s in. So my everyday way is chia seeds in my green smoothie, okay? It's not the same as having fish, but at least it's something, right? You can do a fish oil pill. Right now, I'm kind of on the edge about fish oil pills. I'd rather say just eat some fish. Fish oil can go rancid very quickly, even in pill form, and then you're dealing with the same inflammation that we were talking about in the other oils. So I would say make sure it's from a reputable person. Try to see if, what they're using. Glass containers, so plastic bottles with the fish oil, it actually can leach the BPA from the plastic because it's a fat, right? So all these things, like, do you have to worry about any of this if you're just eating wild-caught salmon? Do you see where my issue is? So if you don't love fish, suck it up, buttercup, right? Try again. So somebody who was telling me that they had just had salmon for the first time ever. No one in this room. You just had salmon for the first time ever. Was it terrible?
No, it was good. It sounds good.
Yeah. So try cooking it and then cover it up with your favorite sauce. That's usually not like put the ranch dressing on it, not really, but like the same thing. How do we get our kids to eat vegetables, right? We figure out something they like and we let them cover it. So same idea. Maybe it's a seasoning blend that you can tolerate. Maybe it's trying to find, the easiest way to cook it that you will tolerate it. Personally, if anybody's done my tuna with mashed avocado, Judy, is it good?
Oh, it's awesome.
Does it taste like tuna? Not really, not like when you were little and had like, yeah, right? So mashed avocado and tuna and a little bit of garlic powder, right, Judy? Lime juice, right? It's like $1, okay? So if you say like, I can't afford to eat fish all the time because it's $8.99 a pound, a can of tuna, right? And half of an avocado or full avocado and some garlic powder and some lime juice is really all you need to be able to get your fish in for the day, okay? Do I want you to eat that every day? Not really, but like once or twice a week, totally fine. They have wild-caught salmon in a can or in packets or whatever. Another, like, find a way to put the ranch dressing on it. That's literal, not actual, but the idea, okay? So that would be kind of my, yes?
What if you're allergic to fish?
What if you're allergic to fish? There actually is algae oil, which smells like fish, it's really sexy, but it will provide you the same benefits. Do you do a fish oil though, or are you allergic? Yeah, algae oil, try it. Yeah. It'll smell like dirty algae. You can get it, and just, maple syrup, lemon juice, algae oil, shot, take it. It's worth it. It's worth it.
I'll mix it in a nice smoothie for you.
You won't drink it in a smoothie. So, vegan options is always the algae oil. It literally smells like whoever sniffed algae, but if you could, like, it's not as bad as like rotten fish, but it's there. It's kind of there. It's okay. Again, lemon juice, some maple syrup. You can get it in a capsule too. Try the capsule. Yeah, do the capsule.
I've got 39 years for that.
You can do chia seeds, walnuts, things like that. So that's ALA, but you need DHA, and only like 10% of the ALA actually converts into DHA, so you have to eat a high amount versus fish is all DHA. So that's where, but the algae, guess what the fish eat to get all the DHA? Algae, right? So that's why you can do algae oil and get the same benefits, because it's actually, usually it all goes back to whatever you're eating is what you eat, right? So, I know this is going to be a big push here at Burn, but I'm going to kind of just put this out here. Does anybody care about the quality of their meat, fish, chicken? Yeah? Does it taste better?
Yes.
Yeah? Do we know why? Well, apparently they're not allowed to add hormones, which I think is a lie. But what do non-caged chickens eat? If they're just allowed to roam around, what do you think they eat if they're not caged? They eat bugs, they eat dirt, they're out in the sun getting vitamin D, they are eating grass, they're eating lots of stuff. Do you think any of them would just eat soybeans or dry corn because it was fun, right? No, they're going to be chickens. They're going to peck around and do what pick chickens do, right? So what do caged chickens that don't ever see sunshine eat? So why do you think the chickens that get to go outside taste better? Because they're happy. Because they actually know how to process their food. So it's literally the same thing. How our bodies are like, whoa, what are you? I don't recognize you. Go somewhere else. Versus, I've been eating bugs since, man started or whatever, right? I know how to process bugs. They do X, Y, Z for me. And I'm out in the sun and I get vitamin D. So the same thing with grass-fed cows. Guess what? They get vitamin D all day. So guess what? Their milk, if it wasn't pasteurized times 1,000, guess what it would naturally have in it? Vitamin D. Does anybody get milk at home and it doesn't say fortified with vitamin D? Because none of those cows have ever seen the sun, right? Unfortunately, right? So when you eat food that was allowed to grow the way nature intended it instead of in a box, and I'm in no way saying that, we can all afford to eat all of our food from the local farmer, trust me, I'm not there, okay? But when there's an option, right? So let's say the organic stuff is $5.99, but it's on sale for $4.99. What do you do, Marlena? Buy it all. Yeah, and then you tweet to the rest of you, like, there's 3 more packages, right? Because I couldn't fit anymore in my cart, right? But you buy a freezer, right? And you get it when it's on sale. Val, you're my queen of conscious cooking, right? So, you go to places like Trader Joe's, even though it's a little bit further than Harris Teeter, and you buy not in bulk, but in bulk type quantities. Or you go to Costco, or you split it with your neighbor or your sister, right? And you guys go and you divide stuff because it's worth it if you can find a place to freeze it, things like that. Because those animals, they were happy, okay, which it actually does. They said that makes a difference. But B, they were eating food that they're actually supposed to eat. They know how to process. And then they are therefore giving you all of, when you read, like, chicken is good for you for X, Y, Z, and it provides you with niacin and all this stuff that you need for your body. Usually that's not true if they were eating corn and soy, okay? So if you Google a lot of things like, why are blueberries good for me, right? They were using probably natural organic blueberries when they looked at all the antioxidants, They were looking at when they said grass-fed beef, or when they used to talk about beef, it was all grass-fed. So, when it had saturated fat in it, it's not saturated fat because it had corn and soy and didn't know what to do with that, so it stuffed it all in its fat, right? It was natural saturated fat from just the environment, right? So, even some of the vegetables and stuff that we eat have natural amounts of like saturated fat or what we normally think of as unhealthy fats, right? But because they're natural, our bodies know what to do with them and they don't cause all these issues. So I guess that's, again, the food quality piece, right? So maybe that means 2 of your meals a week are from grass-fed something, pasture-raised something. Maybe that means that if you're going to eat the yolks from the eggs, you make sure that they are at least not in a cage all the time, right? And their eggs got to move around. Usually you'll see when it would say cage-free, it's also, they're higher naturally in omegas because the chickens got to walk around and get what they needed from the earth, which includes the omega-3s. But the chickens that were literally in cages the whole time, there's no omega-3s in their soy and corn that they've been being fed. Is this starting to kind of click to you guys? Why is it more expensive? Because those chickens get picked off by other animals, right? They are more susceptible to viruses, things like that, because they're not being fed antibiotics, right? Grass-fed cows, their meat is double the price. Why? Have you ever seen how big a cow is? Do you know how much food they need? Do you know how much land they need, right? And so that is why. And when we sit down and really look at our budget, we say we can't afford things. I dare you to cut out 3 Starbucks a week. see how much more you can afford, right? Because it's not always double, especially when you find things on sale. Sometimes it's $2 more, right? $2 more isn't going to kill anybody, but when we have to do it all the time, it becomes an expense, right? How many of you thought you had money for BBC? How many of you found money for BBC? How many of you have found the benefits from that money and wouldn't go back? Right? Food quality is the same thing, okay? It is making small changes in the beginning. They're going to feel hard. Things won't always work out. Your recipes might suck sometimes, right? Your kids are going to give you a fit. I don't like this. It's different. It's not what Johnny eats. Why me? Why are we different? Right? Those are really hard questions to answer. But when you know, you have the knowledge, right? It's really hard to be like, honey, it's just because it's good for you, right? Versus, I know that this is causing inflammation for them. They're going to deal with this when they're 25 instead of 45. I know that giving them the sugar is depleting their calcium. They're likely going to have osteoporosis by the time they're 40. Because of decisions I'm making right now, it's a lot easier to go deal with it, right? A little bit easier at least, right? And then maybe Johnny decides that he likes these 3 things, right? And so then that's less of a fight, right? And you can kind of decide together, like, okay, well then these are your new, so how many kids turn up their nose at apples? Some of your kids? No? How many of you keep apples available on hand all the time for them? How many of them say, I want a snack, and you ask for apples first? Is that your first go-to every time? If it's not, okay, but they like them, same thing, oranges, bananas, whatever it is that they love, if that's not your first offering, you're never going to ask for it, okay? So when you go, well, what do you want? Some goldfish, some whatever your 80 things you offer them are, right? If we don't ask them, give them the healthy options, they're never going to ask for them themselves, right? They don't, know better. They just want something that tastes good. They're going, right? Whatever it is. Not really fair to them, right? We're the parents, so Melissa, your jerky that you made, how many of your kids hate it?
Love it.
Right?
Yeah. That's like their go-to snack when they get home from school.
Or frittata, right? How many of you would think to be like, 3 o'clock snack, how about frittata? Anybody? No? Melissa, what do you
love that sweet potato casserole.
Yeah, same thing, the frittata. Yep, sweet potato casserole, you guys had it with the turkey and sweet potatoes and the eggs. You can add whatever you want. I just made him, I've been making homemade turkey sausage because I'm recipe testing. Like, he should be like 800 pounds. I'm like, here, eat all this food. Trying to recipe test for my new business. But, so we had, yesterday I put in the homemade sausage, just some cut up peppers, a little bit of herbs de Provence, which if you've never had it, has a little bit of lavender in it. It's so good. And some salt. Throw some eggs. He ate that last night, half of the thing. Today, like, when it tastes good, there's no stopping, right? So it's more about trying to figure out, so that's, in that particular, all protein and veggies, right? My rule of thumb is that every single meal, without getting crazy, should have a vegetable in it. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, everything, okay? I know that's a little crazy, especially if you don't do that already. But how do I get vegetables in my breakfast? My green smoothie. Or I do a frittata, or an egg bake, or a casserole, or something. Or I just do, you follow me on Instagram, you know my go-to is Brussels sprouts, some carrots, and then some egg whites and some eggs, okay? How do I get snacking at lunch? Does anybody like hummus? Has anybody tried paleo hummus? No? I'm going to have to just bring so much stuff in for you guys. So paleo hummus, the 2 versions that I love, one is just zucchini that you saute, you smush out the water, and then you add garlic, like all the other hummus ingredients, garlic, lemon, you put it in your food processor, and it tastes like heaven. And the other one is artichokes, same thing. If you buy them already canned, you just squeeze out the water, and you add all the regular hummus ingredients, or you buy them frozen, cook them with lemon, and you add the regular hummus ingredients. So tahini, lemon, salt, garlic, vinegar, whatever you want to add to yours. Why do I do that? Because then I'm having veggies with veggies, right? Your kids don't like veggies, they might like this hummus that is full of veggies that they really can't tell, and then when they do dip their cracker snacks, whatever, in them, they're still secretly getting vegetables, right? Lunch is easy. You guys can probably think of 1,000 things with vegetables in it for lunch, right? What about your late night snack? Does anybody ever put green stuff in their late night snack? No, am I crazy? So Dave and I actually have a greens powder that we use, so a green supplement. It actually has like apples and stuff like that in it as well. But if you mix it with like chocolate or peanut butter or things like that, it tastes really sweet. I'm gonna end up bringing some in for you guys because you're all looking at me like crazy. But so that's an easy way. Like if by the end of the day I'm like, crap, I didn't have enough vegetables, I'll mix that stuff in with like a green like chia bowl, or I've actually made chocolate peanut butter cups before with that mixed in the chocolate with the peanut butter, and literally like you want to trick your kids into eating vegetables, like there's 10 servings of vegetables in a scoop, and you divide it between 6 like chocolate peanut butter cups, and you're like, here, eat some peanut butter cups, honey, right? And they get 2 or 3 servings of vegetables in the 2 peanut butter cups that they have. So I'll definitely bring some samples of that if you guys want to try it, for sure. But those are like sneaky ways. So if your kids are just, if your husband, if your spouse, if yourself, if your kids are just like, I'm not eating vegetables and it's always a fight, I encourage you to find some kind of like greens supplement. Make sure it's organic, try to make sure it's raw. Again, I have a really good one if you want to try it. I'll bring some samples in. But that's like the foolproof way. Like if nothing else, sneak it in the food, right? Hide it. Who processes like spaghetti sauce with like a pound of veggies processed in the blender before they put it in the sauce? If you don't, why not? Anybody? Yeah, come with you? Okay, so like zucchini, super easy to hide, right? Super easy. Spinach even can be easy to hide in there, but you literally puree it up in like Vitamix or just a regular blender, puree it up, it'll hide itself in the tomato sauce, and that is a simple way. It's like cauliflower is an easy one to hide in there, it has no color, right? But it's just a really easy way to get more veggies in when you don't think about it, because in the end, it is mostly your fruits and vegetables that are going to provide you with those vitamins and minerals that you need, okay? And having to constantly fight with either yourself, your kids, or something like that to get those in is like a stress, right? And that kind of defeats the whole purpose of it as well. So my goal for you is to try to give you some kind of things that you can think about, right? Consider. So the green smoothie idea. If you put chocolate, like cocoa, unsweetened cocoa powder, and a scoop of like, or 2 scoops of burn, or some other kind of protein powder in there, it will hide all of the green. It will turn it chocolatey, and you can tell your kids it is dessert. You can add a banana to it. It will taste sweet, I promise you. Blueberries get added, and they'll hide the green. There are so many ways that you can try. And again, this is, if it doesn't work, don't give up. Okay? How many of you guys have tried one thing and been like, never gonna work for me, move on? How many of you have been sore at BBC before? Never gonna work for me, move on, right? No. I'll come back tomorrow, screw it, right? You guys are crazy, I see your feet. Right? The point is that all of this was foreign to you. Did anybody know what the difference between a burpee and a cricket burpee was before you came here? Did you care? No, burpee with the head running, right? But now you care, right? Now you know the difference, and it's because you continued on even though it's hard, right? Healthy eating is going to be the same thing. You're going to have to continue through some things. Let your palate change. It takes about 28 days. You actually do get new taste buds, so if you can stick it out for a little while, you will start being able to kind of develop some new flavors and be able to tolerate some new tastes. Now, I'm not saying that, if you've never liked a beet before in your life, you're going to magically love beets. But if you were like, I can kind of tolerate this, you may turn into, this is really good, I actually taste the sugar in it now. Because you take all that stuff out, okay? I'm going to help you with this. I have my new business. It's called the Healthy Dish Company. It's going to be rolling out. We're going to have a fridge. It's going to be so cute, okay? I'm going to help you. I'm going to have sweets for your kids that have the grains powder in them already, okay? So you don't have to think about that. I'll do it for you. I'm going to have easy prepared meals. So if you're constantly on the go and you're like, I just can't, physically, I just can't do this. It's just, it has to be lean cuisine or I'm not eating, right? Or we have to go to wherever, takeout, Domino's, whatever. I just don't physically have the time. Get it. Trust me. That's why I want to do this. I have a business coach. She took me 3 weeks of constantly badgering me. Sam, what is your purpose? And I'm like, well, I really want to help people, and I really want to feel great and amazing. Well, how are you going to do that? I'm going to encourage them. Okay, that sounds really good. Is there anything else you could do for them? Well, I already yell at them all the time, right? That can only go so far. Well, how else can you help them? What was your biggest struggle, right? So she just badgering me. What was your biggest struggle? Well, I didn't know anything about food. And then everything I would try, I would then see the next day something different, right? So you should eat beans. No, you shouldn't. Beans are terrible. You know what I mean? Like, you should have maple syrup. No, you shouldn't. Maple syrup is fattening. Whatever. You know what I mean? Like, anytime you put your energy somewhere, you always have somebody telling you something else, right? And so I was like, I'll just do all the work for them. And she's like, okay, how are you going to do that? Right? And I was like, I'll just cook for them. That's easy. Right? And then I sat down and I was like, okay, if I sit in one person's house and make them meals for their whole family, it'll take me 6 hours, and I can charge like $10 for that. And I'll be broke and no good food. Right? Essentially. So instead, I'm getting a huge kitchen space, and I'm going to be able to go shopping for you. Think about the food quality. Think about, how is this chicken raised so you don't have to. Think about, is this vegetable from either a farmer I can trust that I know isn't spraying them with pesticides or certified organic? Is this full of extra chia? Is there a way I can get you guys some omega-3 so you don't want to throw up? Can I create a sauce for you so that you can create that at home without me cooking everything for you, right? Can I figure out a way to get you some healthy snacks so that you aren't constantly running to those Mallard bars or Cliff bars that have soy in them, right? So that's what I'm going to do. That's my goal for you guys. I want to take out the headache. I want to take out the what if or oh my gosh or, but I also realize like some people are vegetarian, some people are vegan. I've been all those things, hey. So I will have meatless meals. I will have like lunch specials where if you buy like 5 lunches in a row, you'll get like a snack or something as well. I'll probably do buy 10, get 1 free, just to kind of give you guys back. I don't like. My goal in this is to not be rich. It is to be rich in seeing you guys being successful, to be completely honest with you. But I also have a mortgage. Sorry. But that's been my goal. And I want to continue to be able to teach you guys in sessions like this for free. And the only way that I can do that is to know that you guys are interested in these topics, right? So I need feedback from you as much as you guys might need information from me. I did promise I would talk to you guys about protein powder, so before we leave. Number 1 question I get in this gym. Hold on, get it. Why do I need this? And what makes it good for me? And how often do I need it? And can I have it at every meal? You guys ask crazy questions, right? No, really, I had that question last week, and I was like, we need to eat real food. It wasn't anybody on Instagram, so that's okay. So, afterburn, why is this even recommended to you guys? Does anybody know? Is this protein? Okay, and yeah, so your muscles tear when you work out. Your body needs protein to help fix all your muscle tears, right? So protein is the only thing that will help your body do that. So if you are devoid of protein, your body will not fix those tears and you won't grow your muscles, right? Why do we want a lot of muscle? Lean muscle. Because muscle burns fat. How? You don't know? So muscles, along with hormones, create metabolism. Okay? So when we have a lot of body mass, muscle, it is very active. It requires a lot of calories to keep up, right? So me sleeping with the frame I have, if you've never met me without this shirt on, you may not know. I have muscles under here. Okay? Me sleeping with the frame I had, I weigh exactly the same as I did back when I was trying to learn how to run a mile 10 years ago. Okay? Same exact. I probably burned about 400 to 500 more calories sleeping a day. Like if I didn't get out of my bed, I would still burn 400 or 500 more calories a day because of the muscle mass I've created. Because it's very active. It constantly has to be turned over. Where fat is like, your muscle's like, okay? So why do we want muscle, right? Because we want to have a very, very active body, right? Even when we're sleeping, we'll burn more calories. When we create tears in our muscle, does that sound really kind of scary? Are you scared about that? Don't be scared. They're minuscule, they're like microscopic, okay? And a lot of times it's not going to create, so when you see like bodybuilders and like they have the huge red muscles, they're doing a lot more than just eating protein. Don't get scared, I promise you. There's not enough weight back there on that rack to make you look manly, I promise you, okay? So, you will build lean muscle. Lean muscle is what your body's either going to be made of, fat or muscle, and it's always going to have water, okay? That's all, it's the only options. So if it's more fat, it's less active, okay? If it's more muscle, it's going to be more active. If you don't give your body enough protein, even if you come in here and kill it, and you're all like, ooh, and you notice that you can never go up in weight, right? I've been stuck at 10 pounds for like 20 years, I can't figure this out, right? Or you guys, when you first came in here, 10 pounds felt like 1,000, right? It's because we haven't activated that muscle in a long time, right? And so instead of just your bicep activated to do a bicep curl, it was like your arm, your bicep, your shoulder, everything, because it just was not used to that muscle movement, right? And then you started creating these tears, and then all of a sudden that muscle started working. It was getting stronger, building on itself. So the next time you were like 3 weeks later, you're like, I can do a 12, right? I can do a 15, and then we kind of stall out. A lot of that is just us stalling out as far as being women, and it's really hard for us to build muscle, so don't be scared. Okay? The other part is you may not be getting enough protein. If you're not getting enough protein in your body, those tears kind of go to waste. So your workout was kind of wasted. Okay? Because when you don't get enough protein, you don't get to restore your body the way it's supposed to, okay? Also, if you don't get enough sleep, you're also screwing yourself, okay? So sleep's just as important, okay? Because that's when your body actually makes those repairs. But by using a protein powder, okay, it's called assimilation. And that just means how quickly can you get into your cells. Very fast to assimilate, okay? Protein powder, if you think about eating 2 scoops of this or chewing chicken, same 100 calories, same 23 grams of protein, right? Pretend. Let's just pretend, okay? What does the chicken have to do? You have to chew it, you have to swallow it, and then the acids in your stomach have to break it down, and then it goes in your small intestine, and then once it's in your small intestine, the proteins can be taken out and taken through your bloodstream and to go into the muscles. About a 3-hour process, okay? This has already been chewed and kind of digested for you, okay? So it literally goes through that process in like 30 minutes. So that's why protein powder is so popular, especially in gyms and stuff where people are walking in with the thought of, I want to build muscle, right? The faster you can get protein to your muscles, the faster they can start repairing themselves. And in that repairing, what I mean is just those little microscopic tears, okay? You still do need sleep though. You can't just drink a lot of protein powder. It's not going to work that way. Sleep is important for hormones and things too. But a lot of the body recovery happens at sleep, okay? So it's really good to have your protein as soon as you're done so you can work on that all day long. Does that mean you just have your 2 scoops afterward and then you're done for your protein for the day? Remember what I told you about muscle being really active, right? So you want to have to make sure that you're keeping up that muscle for a long time, right? So you don't want it to, let's say we only eat 1,200 calories a day, some of you in this room, and you really need like 1,600 calories a day. You're doing so good because you're eating less than you need, and I lost 10 pounds, and it's all muscle. Okay, so when you are under eating, your body does not look at fat and muscle the same way. It actually tries to keep the fat on your body and will eat your muscle. Okay? So when we are drastically under eating, starving ourselves, things like that, you are most likely still holding on to a lot of fat. Okay? Why? Because fat is like the last resource for your body. Fat, most of us can live about 84 days on our fat reserves. Okay? But that's after we go through all of our muscle. Okay? So have you ever seen like a person that lost a lot of weight and then they start eating again and then like, or even they still have like little tummies or little like weird fat deposits places that you're like, you should be really thin, right? They have no muscle at all. Like a 2-pound weight is a lot for them, right? And that's because their body ate all their muscle. Okay, that's the first thing that went, and then it finally went for the stored fat. If we can keep protein in our bodies and we're under eating just a little bit for some weight loss, so let's say you need 1,600 and you're eating like 1,450-ish, so we're kind of just barely under eating, but we're making sure we put a lot of protein in our bodies, then that fat is allowed to go. Okay, and we can keep we have to be lifting weights though too. Okay, this isn't just some magic science that we have to constantly have to build that muscle, but protein, not just protein powder, but protein in general will help us continue to keep the muscle that we have. Lean muscle burns more calories, right? So that's why protein powder is recommended for so many people because it's so quick to assimilate into our bodies. It's something we don't have to think about. You literally just shake it and drink it, and you can continue on with your day. And then 3 hours later, you can have your normal meal, right? Why did they spend so much money making Afterburn? You know, they could have made investment in this stuff, right, guys? If you didn't, here's a news tip. They spent a lot of money getting this right, okay? Devin and Morgan are very, very aware of some of the problems with most on-the-market brands of protein powder. The first problem being that if you read the back of this is cold denatured, which means it didn't go through a huge heating process, aka kills all the good stuff for you. But it's grass-fed, okay? So that whole conversation we had about your cows eating grass versus cows eating soy, right? That applies to your food. That applies to everything you're eating. You're doing cheese, like is it grass-fed cheese? If not, why not, right? Butter. Protein powder, okay? So whey, does anybody know what whey actually is? Have you ever seen them make cheese before? And you know the coagulates and then the whey comes off the top? So that's actually what this is. So when you make cheese, all curdles, they put an enzyme in and it curdles together, and then all the liquid or the whey comes off the top, okay? They dry that out, and that's what protein powder is, okay? The lactose stays in the cheese, which is why you can eat cheese if you're lactose intolerant. But most people can tolerate whey, even if they have a lactose issue, okay? Personally, I don't have something that I need to break this down, so it kind of feels like a rock in my stomach. But if you don't feel that way, I'm all about as long as it's grass-fed whey, go for it, right? Again, listen to your body. We figured this out because this one has a tendency to overdo everything, so he was like 8 scoops of whey protein a day kind of person. Developed a huge allergy to it, and now can't have it at all. I can still tolerate it, but just not like I can't do it every day. It's uncomfortable. But then you continue to read the ingredients here, and everything's certified organic, and the only sweetener is stevia, okay? So if you buy protein powder at the store or somewhere else, I encourage you to go home and flip it over. A lot of them add high fructose corn syrup to their protein. A lot of them add added sugar. A lot of them are not from grass-fed cows, and therefore my question to you is, well, what are they eating, and why is that good for you? Especially if it's in such an easy to absorb form, right? You're getting all of that, no matter whether you wanted it or not, right? The other thing to think about is, where was your milk sourced from? If it's China, like, have you seen the air in China? Even if the cows are outside, right? Do you really want that? Like, what the animals eat is what you become, right? So, like, if you look at this, I think this is USA made, right? I believe the cows are California cows that Devin and Morgan used from here. If not, I think they're from Chile, which is South America, but it's much better, okay? You get into China, you don't want that, okay? But the other thing is that it's cold denatured, it's cold temperature, non-denatured grass-fed. So if those words mean nothing to you, do some research, okay? Google is a plethora of really good information. But, you know, there's not a lot of added ingredients in here. I think there's 7 total ingredients, okay? And it's quick to assimilate, which means it gets up into your cells very quickly, and it can just work on. If you do tend to have problems or you just need something else other than whey all the time, I actually bake vegan. So I'm happy to kind of give you guys some options outside of this. My new favorite is Vega Performance Protein. It's got 30 grams of protein and a bunch of BCAA. It's all vegan, but it's freaking fantastic. It's really good. I guess my point is being that just because, again, just because it works for you doesn't mean it's going to work for me, or vice versa. But it's still about quality, right? When we go back to it, it's always the quality of your food that's the most important. Have I spurred questions from anyone? Yes?
Trader Joe's has what they call the gateway meats. So
Uh-huh.
they have organic, and then they have some that are, it's not certified organic, but it's not hormone or not organic. Would you say those are in between? Would you say just as good?
I would say those are,
Skip them?
no, I think those are miles and miles ahead of just the stuff, yeah. Do what?
If you do organic, but it's the full-on organic?
If you could do organic, I would say that, like, so a lot of times you have to read it though, because organic may just mean that the corn and soy that they ate was organic. So you really do still need to be, so a lot of times, like, I've noticed that Trader Joe's, just because it's organic doesn't mean it's been pastured, right? And so then, the quality, it may not be apples to apples anyway. You may be fine just getting that gateway. Or so Rebecca said, like Trader Joe's has a lot of things that they have a lot of things on their packages, like vegetarian fed, no hormones added, antibiotic free. I know these off the top of my head because I read them all the time. Honestly, that's the food he gets because we both don't have real jobs. Okay? A real job. But it's not my old corporate job. Okay? So, data's developing if you have a business and need a website. I'm just going to plug it. And, but, so we do a lot of those gateway, and the honest to God truth is, versus the food he was eating before, it is like miles and miles ahead, right? We've noticed he's got a gluten allergy. He's also got a lot of sensitivities to food because of the way he was eating before. And those foods don't send him into like stomach pains and things like that, where like traditional, if he just went and got a piece of chicken, he'll have stomach bloating for like 4 days. But a lot of times we do try to get the organic, but otherwise I do grab like, because a lot of times it's really hard to do, like if you want to do like chicken sausage or something, you can't always get the organic, blah, 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 blah. What I'm saying is to be aware, choose it when you can, and then find the next best option with any kind of food. So you may see sugar on a label versus maple syrup on a label, right? Go for the maple every time. Maple's got vitamins and minerals in it. But you may see one has sugar, one has high fructose corn syrup. Go for the sugar. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's whatever the lesser evil is, right? Because high fructose corn syrup is like a major depleter. Like, it will like ravish you of your nutrients, okay? So think about what it's doing to like the kids' cereals and stuff that we just easily like, here you go, Johnny, love this. And they're bouncing off the wall, so they're also being depleted of all their vitamins and stuff. So the 2 apples you did manage to get into them are gone, right? So sugar's a little bit better than high fructose corn syrup. Honey, maple syrup, natural sweeteners, way better. So a lot of them aren't even the same as far as GI, so they're, what's the word? My brain is gone. The effect on your like glycogen. Okay, so sugar being 100. Why can't I think of the word I'm looking for? Anybody know the word I'm looking for? No. The GI index. Glycemic. Thank you. Jeez Louise, my brain. Okay, so the glycemic index. So 100 is sugar. So that's if you take table sugar on an empty stomach, totally fasted, what it'll do to your sugar level, right? So how many of you only eat maple syrup on its own by itself by the tablespoon? Probably no one, right? So there's a lot of stuff helping buffer that. Same goes for sugar. A lot of times, right, there's other things that you're eating that are helping buffer that glycemic index back to your body, so you're not getting as big of a jump as you would if you were fasted and eating it for the first time of the day. But regardless, sugar's like 100, maple syrup's like a 45. Okay? Even though they have the same calories, it's not going to spike your sugar. So glycemic index is how quickly it spikes your blood sugar level, right? And the faster, Marlene, I'm sure you were quite worried about this when you, yeah, so she probably caught a lot of that. But things like stevia and monk fruit don't spike your sugar at all, right? So that's why I like stevia, also likes monk fruit. It's derived from plants, so you know there's some vegetables in there, or not vegetables, but minerals and things like that, but they're still processed, right? In the end, nobody grows a green powder, right? It starts as a leaf, and then they have to dry it, and then they grind it into a powder, and then they may add some, so like stevia, the green packets, unfortunately have filler in them as well, because the amount of stevia you need is like this, and then what you're used to using, because you're used to using Splenda and things like that, is this. So they put fillers in them. Trader Joe's has the stevia in a bottle where it's got like a dropper, or the raw stevia and it's got this little tiny spoon. It's like literally this big, the spoon is, and you only need like a little spoonful or 2 to sweeten like your coffee versus like 2 packets of something, right? It's a little different tasting. Low-hanging fruit, if you get it organic online, sometimes the packets, again, they have a filler in them. But if you can get it organic online, again, it's one of those things you only need a little bit to sweeten your food. You'll get used to, again, your taste buds will change. You will get used to if it is a little bit bitter or the flavor isn't exactly what sugar used to be for you, you can still get there. Thank you, Judy, I love you. I promise I'll let you guys go in like 2 minutes. I did not mean for this to go so long, I really apologize. But so stevia or low-hanging fruit is a good sweetener, but then maple and honey are still much better than regular sugar, okay? So gateway foods are okay. Any other questions? Yes?
You mentioned that, some of the marketing out there has no extra hormones, no antibiotics. Fresh Market has their Tuesday special, and Current Fare has it occasionally. So I tend to lean towards that because it does sound healthier, but is it really better? I mean, is that one of those kind of gateway ones?
I think it's still, so it's not organic, and it's probably not like, it's definitely not organic, right? So the problem I have with that is unless you know the actual farmer, you never know what they're getting. Because a lot of times they can be pasture raised, and that just means they're allowed to be on the pasture for an hour a day. You don't know. They still are kenneled up for 23 other hours. So I really struggle with, like, unless it's the actual farmer you're talking to and you can walk their farm and be like, oh, there's a chicken, right? We don't know. On average, the less crap that they do to your food, the better, right? So if they're not injecting it with some kind of like extra juju juice to make it look browner and, you know what I mean? Because that's what they do. If you get packaged like Tyson's chicken, you'll read it and it says like, may contain up to 15% of some sodium blah, 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 for freshness or something. But it's to plump it up, to make it look better. You notice your chicken shrinks a lot when you cook it. Yes, that's natural moisture, but a lot of times that's that extra junk they squirted in there coming out as well. So I think that that is definitely a better option, like the $2.99 Fresh Market, with no antibiotics, things like that.
I mean, taste-wise, it's a huge difference.
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to say, use your palate to kind of give you the information it needs.
While we're talking about meat, there's a local farmer, T&D Farms, you can go to their farm, you can order online, and they do, like, if you buy 4, you get 1 free of their fresh ground beef and their fresh sausages, and they also have chicken deals. You can go to the Piedmont Farmers Market pile, or order them online and just go right to their farm and pick it up, and their meat is amazing, and they're all organic.
So that's called TND or TD?
Tea and like a little
And
symbol.
TND Farmers. So everybody write that down if you're watching online. Thank you, Marlena. But yeah, so what is my job for you guys, since I just spent an hour and a half talking at you, right? I don't want this to be a one-sided conversation. So things like that you find, post them on our BBC members only portal, okay? Post them. We are a community. You girls are a tribe. You're my tribe, okay? I want you guys to have all the success, but it requires us to share, right? Because you shouldn't be 10 days behind somebody else if we have the information right now. No one is going to be upset if somebody also shared that 3 weeks ago, right? We don't always see everything, so feel free to share it. We want to know tips, nutrition. If you have more questions, like if I'm spurring things and later on you think of things, you were sent an email you can send questions to, we can always have another one of these sessions, maybe somewhere more comfortable to sit next time. But yeah, so any other questions off the top of your
I
head?
don't know if this is silly, but you talked a lot about soy, edamame, soybeans. So is that equally as bad?
I would say make sure it's GMO. So organic is always non-GMO. So see, make sure it's organic.
Does the soy then still affect?
The amount of edamame you're going to eat versus how much is ground down to be in your food is so much different. Would I say every meal you should have edamame? Probably not. Is it okay to occasionally eat? Yeah, I think it's fine. Make sense?
My kids like to snack on it a lot, that's why I'm asking, like, is that something that I should?
I would Google it and then make the decision. I don't want to make decisions for you. I think there's a lot worse that they could be eating, honestly. Especially since it is still natural and as long as it's organic. I don't think it's going to be such a hormone disruptor. But again, I would say anything you hear today, do your research yourself. Make sure you're making the decision for you and your family. Your threshold may be different than mine as far as what's allowable or tolerable. So, yes.
What minerals and vitamins do you take?
I eat a lot of green food.
Well, outside of the food.
I don't take anything. I do a probiotic every day. I make sure I eat fish 4 times a week. I do my greens at night if I haven't had enough vegetables, which if you look at the content of that, it's like taking a multivitamin every day. So I guess if I didn't do that, I'm lucky enough that I don't have a lot of joint issues, but I eat an enormous amount of fat, like avocados and coconut and all that stuff, and fatty fish and things like that. So I do a good job lubricating my joints naturally with those kind of things. If you've already had a lot of wear and tear, you may need to go to like a glucosamine supplement, things like that. That could be a whole nother
Brooke Thomas from 360
Yes.
My Life, she's going to come and present on nutrition in terms of vitamins and supplements and stuff like that. She's just she's really big right now, so I'm trying to nail down a date with her so soon.
But I would definitely say look at your vitamins and minerals, and again, do some Google searching. A lot of times they have a lot of studies where you can see that they dropped it in water, and you you only get about 35 minutes for something to be absorbed before it goes into your small intestine. It can't be absorbed the same way. So if your capsule doesn't break down in that like 35-minute, your vitamins being wasted. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there was some study, like, where, they
Most
looked
of it
at
over the
porta
counter.
potties, and it was
Uh-huh.
like mounds of vitamins, because there's so many vitamins out there that just don't get absorbed into your
Yeah.
system. Like the girl who does the Shackley, she'll do a demo and show you how she'll drop them in a cup, and they're gone. They
Yeah.
dissolve, like, immediately.
So that's what you want. You want your vitamins to be able to absorb immediately so that they can be same thing. Like, don't let it be, but remember in the beginning when I said like your fruits are like natural, right? You're gonna get all the vitamins out of that. Your body knows how to process those natural vitamins and minerals really easily versus anytime you're getting a vitamin, they're usually chemical vitamins, which don't be afraid of, but it's just not the same, right? And so you may not be absorbing as much as you think, I guess. So right now, I'm lucky enough, I don't have any healthy ailments, so just my fruits and vegetables are good. But thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Sending you love. I know you guys have stuff to do, so I'm gonna let you go. If you have any other questions, I can respond via email. I'm happy to take them now. So I know I